What is going on, guys? It's Steeler here back again with another RDX with a phenomenal panel, some great topics, some good game talk. As we kind of wind things up, we're going to start some introductions and get into some great topics, starting with, and we get into these introductions quick as fuck. Ain't no stalling, Cognito. Introducing Mr. Cognito, Lord Cognito. Welcome to the show, bro.
Woo! Back in the realm of the Real Deal Xbox podcast. It is a pleasure, long overdue. I am excited, man. What's going on, people?
You should. We give out suckers after the show. Hey, King David, welcome to the show, brother. Good to have you on.
Again. Oh, what's going on? The last time I was here, I was driving in a Corvette coming from E3. Yeah.
Hey, you're in style, right?
Hell yeah.
Thanks for joining us, though, brother. We've also got D Batch, man. How you been, bud?
What's up? Good, man. Just got in. It's a little bit slippery and slidey out there, but I'm excited to get into these topics today. We got some good shit on the show today.
Yeah, so much, so many pixels, man. We've also got So Shady, man. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Steeler. It's always a pleasure to be here. A couple of the lords in the house. Nice to have them as well. I can't wait to get into these topics, baby. I've been a little on the out myself, so some of this is news to me as well. Let's go.
And we've got Zauker, a.k.a. Little bitch. How you been?
Wow. It's AKA Crispy Smooth. Get it right.
Wow.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Talk a lot of topics. Good to have the Lords in here, and good to get my boys back. And let's have a good time. Everybody in the chat too.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of hazing there. And we've got the naughty dog of YouTube, Mr. Colt Eastwood.
I'm really good. I heard there's some Sony news. They spoke up, so let's talk about it today. It's fire.
There's a tiny bit of Sony news. I think we'll talk about that towards the end of the show, especially. Thanks to everyone that showed up live. Guys, hit that like button as we get rolling. Maybe share this bitch on Twitter, or as I said last week, Grindr, whatever you share things on. And we're gonna go ahead and get into the sponsors of the show, because of course we gotta give these guys a shout out. Gucci Duffel Bag. We got Prime Suspect. We got Michael Bohm. We got Channing Pennington. We've got Guillermo Cavillo, we got Lethal Papa, we got Robert Prather, and the Darge Knight. You guys rock. Thank you so much for doing what you do. And we've also got to get right into the first damn topic, which is actually December Games of Gold. A lot of people bitching out there about this one, Cognito. You seen some people bitch about these Games of Gold. Let me kind of run through the list. I'll get your opinion on this real quick. For the Xbox One, you got Never Alone, which I actually own. My girl was like, little dog, so I bought it, and we never finished it. Cube 2, we got Cube 2. Mm-hmm. We also got Dragon Age 2 for the 360 and Mercenaries for the original Xbox, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. What's your take? Should people, they're so pissed off. Why is that?
I think what it is, the quality has been pretty high the last couple of entries. So, people expect like a certain bangers every single time. There's going to be months like that where it's just not going to be for you. So, I mean, me personally, this is not for me necessarily. Dragon Age 1 is pretty cool if you want to catch back up in the series and stuff like that. I was a big Inquisition fan. But, it's a little light. But, hey, if it's not your month, you can catch it next month, man. It's cool.
That's Cognito's way of saying, yeah, this shit sucks, but maybe.
Yeah, low-key.
He's crazy political. He's playing it down around.
Yeah, he's a fucking fraud. What about you, Dave? You playing any of these? You got any of these games?
Well, I actually got two of them, but and that's Dragon Age, and that's the lone thing with the little Eskimo kid, the dog. But it's a nice game. But you know what Microsoft is saying is, I think it's going to get light from here on in, and if you really want to get down, you have to get that Game Pass for $1 getting in now. So I believe that's what it's about, really, to be honest with you.
Dave is out here selling Game Pass. Colt Eastwood, what's your take on this stuff, man?
Here's my damage control. I'm glad it's not good, because I have like 4 games that I'm trying to finish right now.
Yep.
So yeah, like you said, we've had the past couple months are pretty good, and I expected a crappy month. Usually get one every other month, so whatever. People gripe. They're gonna gripe either way.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's really, really good, it could be Battlefield, right? And we'll have people bitching Battlefield 5 and people bitching, I just bought this. They'll be pissed the other way, right?
Yeah.
Oh, just keep that in mind. Quick takes. Anybody else kind of got an opinion on this? Kind of a light topic as we let people kind of flow in the room.
I'm kind of a fan of these months myself. Sorry there, D. I was just going to say, if it's a hot game, chances are I already own the thing. So when they put those into gold, it doesn't do much for me personally. So I'm down for these games. I'll check them out. If anything, it just adds 4 more to my ever-growing collection.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. D?
Just get Game Pass. Honestly, tell you, like, it's nice when we get good games in there, I guess, for those that don't have Game Pass. But the value that Game Pass is, like, just get Game Pass. You're gonna get much better titles. It's a non-issue for me, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna agree with D, man. Like, Game Pass has better. I don't play indie games so often, but Game Pass has just better indie games. Like Ruiners in there. I just started playing that a little bit. It's really fun. But all these other small little indie games coming to Games with Gold, I just haven't played them. I just don't like. It doesn't really matter to me.
So you guys heard these two corporate shills. They want you to pay more money to get more games.
Hey, you talk about value here.
Still got to buy Xbox Live, guys.
David's got a Game Pass tattoo on his forehead right now.
There you go.
Yo, actually, I got like 6 years of Game Pass, so I'm gonna shill it all the way to the Chizop. Let's go.
Game Pass is legit. Hey, trust me, I'm all for it. We've also got some Red Dead 2 online stuff going on here. They're launching the beta tonight. For those with Ultimate Editions, you will be the first to get into the action. And they are gearing up for continuous expansions. This online stuff does have kind of, co-op story-driven stuff. Hopefully it's better than the GTA 5 launch co-op story stuff, because that was pretty bad. You do the same mission 8 times. Don't tell nobody I did this. Like that same guy just fucking being an asshole to you, even though you just ran a drug mule missing for him. And it's got Battle Royale, apparently. Shady, you're into this. Is this going to cause you to actually play the damn game?
Yeah, it is. I've been looking forward to this online stuff just to roam around in a posse and, run from the law as long as you can. I remember back in Red Dead 1, there was an achievement for, I think, being maximum wanted level in the online for like 15 or 20 minutes straight. And we were trying to do that with a crew of my buds, and we were, set up in a saloon. And the scariest part was whenever you saw another group of humans come into town, because those are the guys that are going to start the shit, man. And they did. The last 2 minutes we had, 2 more minutes until this achievement popped for us. A group of guys came in, and there was a big shootout in the saloon. 2 of our guys got killed. I dove out the window and was riding out into the desert when the achievement popped for me. It was fantastic. So I'm hoping for more experiences like that. The graphics look damn near just as good, if not the same as the campaign. So I was very impressed with that. No downgrade, if you will. I'm really excited for this. And that Battle Royale, I'm just wondering how it's going to start, because you're obviously not dropping in from an airplane or something like that. You just all spawn in somewhere.
Crawl out of an animal's ass, Ace Ventura style, you think?
Oh, there you go. There you go. I'm not sure. I have really big high hopes. High hopes for the online, man. I think there could be some endless content here, and for people that enjoy the game, I think they're going to be in for something special.
Is there not going to be any guns?
This ain't no traditional podcast, by the way. You guys know this. Come on now.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta have that.
I know.
You gotta have that Ace Ventura joke. Hey, Anthony Porta in the super chat says, "Shout out to Colt Shady and myself." Of course, I'm sure he forgot to type the rest of you motherfuckers in there, but thank you so much for the support, bud. David, are you playing? You going to jump into this one? It's kind of your time.
Well, no. Listen, I'm playing a whole lot of stuff on my PlayStation right now, trying to finish up this backlog before this Destiny the DLC drops. Then I can get back into my Destiny stuff and get real hardcore with that. I haven't even picked up Red Dead yet, so nope.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the price to drop. I'm waiting to get it. I was looking at Black Friday. Black Friday didn't have anything special for me. But guess what happened? Usually Target does that buy 2 get 1 free. Not this year. I said, what type of Black Friday is this? I'm not in.
Bro, Rockstar don't go on sale. You're gonna get that game for $5 less than
exactly.
You might as well just jump on it, bro.
All right, well, Cognito, do you own the game, right? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I understand where Dave's coming from the standpoint of like backlog, but you gotta cop that. Come on, this is Red Dead.
No, I don't. Hey, listen, you know what's funny? I just popped in Nuno Kuni and two, and I picked it in January. I picked it up in January. I just popped it in the other day. and it's $20 right now in GameStop. You know who's mad? This guy's mad because I could have brought it yesterday. But no, I'm not playing
No, but
that.
Loki, I am interested. I'm like Shady. Like I'm very curious on how Battle Royale is handled. Like I'm actually intrigued by it. So yeah, definitely that is going to be touched. I want to see what's going on with that. Get your posse on, link up, see how the online infrastructure is, and yeah, I'm low-key excited. They've always had that history of kind of doing a slow rollout when it comes to online, and obviously most people at this point have finished the campaign. People are excited for the next thing, so I'm actually low-key looking forward to it to see how it's handled.
Well, that's good. Ain't a damn thing wrong with that. Also, ain't a damn thing wrong with over 400 people watching. Already, guys, hit that like button if you can. We do appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Shout out to the Iron Lords for showing up and doing what they do. Apparently not buying Red Dead. Fucking God.
That's King. No, I got it. I know.
You
He's frauding over there.
Hey. There's not too much else to say on the online. Like I said, apparently it's hitting tonight for Ultimate Edition people or something. And if you want to play it, you're probably playing it now. We're surprised any of you are here, so we appreciate it. Colt, anybody else got anything to add this Red Dead stuff, or we get moved on some interesting topics?
Yeah, the battle royale is no guns, just bow and arrow and throwing knives.
Wow.
Apparently.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
I think that's what it
that
turned
is
into at the
straight
last
in the
part of the
bushes.
circle. That's all.
That's
The small
yeah.
part.
Really, really strange. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's you got hatchets and throwing knives and bow and arrow and toothpicks.
Hang on. Shady said it's the last part of the circle?
Yeah, I think it's the last part of the circle is when you have knives, and like the second last part of the circle is when you got bow and arrow. Before that,
That's
Last
weird.
circle, you just bite each other to death.
You have like a strip of rawhide. You slap each other.
Yeah, bitch.
Nah, I'm good.
We'll have some laughs no matter what playing that game. Yeah.
Right.
So is auto aim disabled there? I mean, Red Dead's one of the few games that gets away with auto aim somehow.
I'll bet you it's not. I think that
I
was an
heard
option in GTA. You could play with it or without. There might be. I'm hoping there's lobbies that will be one end or the other, so you can't have always a mix. Because I mean, if you don't have it on, you are at a disadvantage.
So the guns are going to be at the beginning of the circles, and so that kind of promotes camping because of the lock-on targeting. Like you're just be able to sit there and just wait for somebody to run by, and then lock on and shoot them.
A lot of the modes, the competitive modes in GTA Online they were free aim, if I remember correctly. So unless you're fighting NPCs, it had to lock on. But I think with real people, you had to free aim.
Okay.
So we'll see. It changed throughout the time.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to everyone in the chat, guys. I wish I could just individually just yell your names out. It'd be amazing. I do appreciate you guys showing up. You guys are awesome. Just letting you know, I do see I'm just not always paying attention to the live chat. Hosts know how it is, right, Cognito? Hosts know how it is. It's
Multitasking.
My boy Death is in there, boy. He's in there all the time.
Salute to Death for the chat. Yeah, what's up, dude?
Right, man.
That's what's up.
Always.
Hey, yeah, Red Dead stuff coming soon. Bow and arrow, biting action, whatnot, whatever you're into. Who saw the Matt Piscatella tweet where he's basically just hammering people saying that, all the PS4s are gone, but there's a stack. Actually, they rebuilt the Best Buy out of Xbox One boxes that weren't sold.
Right.
Matt
Piscatella, he works at MPD, and he came out and gave us some pretty good information, right, Colt? Do you happen to remember that offhand? I can read it off.
Yeah, go ahead and read it off because otherwise I just paraphrase it. But yes, I did see it. Go ahead.
So he said that Xbox has seen the highest growth of the three console makers in the U.S. this year, which is great because they're already very close to PlayStation in sales in the U.S. They're very close. They do very well here. The Xbox One X has been pretty much performing phenomenally, according to him. And what the fuck else? Maybe you should have just said some other shit. And
Made up some stuff.
Basically, the Xbox One S is performing extremely well, and it's helping.
Xbox One X.
Yes.
Yeah, but the S is obviously too if they're growing at the rate they're growing. Right.
In his tweet, he made a point that the X is doing phenomenally well. Were his words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is strange. This hasn't been their greatest year. The first half was pretty rough with Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 not doing as well as they would have hoped. But
I think those games did better than they would have.
Well, no, Sea of Thieves did phenomenal.
Even State of Decay, like they said, they had 5 million monthly players or some shit last month or something. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that's really, really good. And I would. This is why I pointed out
Perception.
When Yeah, perception. But when Microsoft announced that they're making $10 billion annually from Xbox alone in profit, right? They're bringing in $10 billion from Xbox, yet it's failing. It's among the most profitable, if not the most profitable that's ever been, but it's doing so badly, right? And I'm pointing this out because I'm also reminding people that these are years, these last 2 years. Keep in mind, 2016 was fire. They took 16, 15 easy. But these are years when there is nothing really to buy in terms of big software. Like there's these little games here and there. You know, obviously we've always kept it real in the podcast. You know, we've asked for more games, and for well over a year now, we've been doing this shit, asking for more exclusives, more games, things like that, better experiences, and they're delivering. That's great. But at the end of the day, they haven't brought us a whole lot in the last couple of years, and they're still this profitable, even though software is what makes them most of their money. So imagine when Gears comes out next year, Halo finally rolls out, Fable, all their new stuff from, it's going to be nuts. I'm really, really excited. I think a lot of people have a lot of reason to be excited for some of this new stuff going around, right?
Yeah.
Just people. I mean, the reason I have to ask is because people act like you're nuts for kind of being excited about the future of the brand.
Well,
Go ahead. I'll let you guys go.
That is apples and oranges. You have haters that's on one end that don't want it to do well because they're remembering the beating they took last time. So they don't want a reoccurrence of that type of beating, and they understand if someone with deep wallets can focus like they're focusing now, because I see the focus when they pick up developers, when they're talking about they're making games, they already got the hardware there, so it turns into if you build it, it will come type of thing. And when the games do hit, that's when the beatings do start, and they don't want that back. It's like they're trying to deny the inevitable. So.
No, I want to kind of delve down on what King's saying, and from the standpoint of like, look, let's be real. Like from a standpoint, they've been kind of on cruise control with services and multi-plats, and to still be profitable at this stage when technically, the competitor is giving all these exclusive games is really kind of amazing. It's really amazing to see them still have that path. And then once we now build up towards the next generation with these studio acquisitions and to see what these guys develop for the future, it's pretty exciting that they are generating this revenue in the current state. So I'm with you, Dealer. I think they don't actually get enough credit for that. You know what I'm saying? Because, people are not looking at actually revenue sometimes. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens in the future.
People keep saying that Game Pass only exists to basically be filled with mediocre titles. Well, that was already proven wrong with Horizon. State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves was in development, fucking 4 or 5 years ago before Game Pass was a concept. This was all timing with those games. And like I said, even though State of Decay 2 reviewed worse than the first one, as a big fan of the first one, I think the second one's better than the first one in every way.
Absolutely.
It's kind of that standards move along, so... at the end of the day, those two games I believe are timing. I think the fact that they pushed Crackdown back again and then moved it up to February 15th is another bit of proof that they just want better, higher quality games. They're trying to compete, and people should applaud that. Not come up with conspiracy theories
or excuses.
Yeah, it's not something I'm rocking with. Shady, you got anything to add here?
Yeah, I am excited for what is to come. 13 studios, they're definitely not sitting around just patting each other on the back, counting money. They're making games. So when these also launch, in Game Pass, we're going to have access to all of them as well, day and date. I'm still not used to that myself, knowing that Crackdown's coming, Gears 5 on the day, just have it. All my friends will have it. Like, that still hasn't quite set in as the new standard that Microsoft is pushing with the Game Pass. And I have to almost be reminded every time a game's coming, like, oh yeah, that's just available for something that I already have. It's awesome, because with all these games typically comes a big hit to someone's wallet if they want them all. And taking the Game Pass route, it's not. It's affordable as it can get, man. I love it. I'm hoping that these studios bring the heat. I want to see some serious stuff now that they're quote unquote financially not hindered anymore. They can make what they want, and I hope what they want is awesome.
I think that just one last thing too, and I want to ask Zalker and Colt something, but I think Game Pass also allows them to maybe take a slight hit on a risk. So, I made a mistake talking in one of my videos about Game Pass that said 25 million annually. I meant monthly. So that's $300+ million a year on 2.5 million subscribers. They confirmed they had millions of subscribers at XO. So they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, or at least they're bringing it back in to reinvest. And if a game maybe doesn't do as well, or maybe they know it's not as appealing, they can afford to give that game a bigger budget and absorb that loss through Game Pass. if that makes any sense, right? You're bringing in revenue. You can afford to maybe take a hit if you've got to. I think it's kind of a double positive there.
Well, I almost think that Game Pass gives video games another shot at a little bit of a longer tail end, kind of like what movies have. They come out in the theater first, and then they'll go to digital and Blu-ray and stuff, and then you'll start to see them pop up on the streaming services later on down the road. And that's where a lot of these films make their money in the long run, is way on their tail. Some of them end up showing up on TV and stuff, and again, that's more money. So video games, they kind of miss out on a lot of that, and Game Pass gives some of these titles almost a second win. Look at Sniper Elite 4. I don't know how well that game did, but it's available now for everyone in Game Pass. It has a 4-player horde mode, 2-player campaign co-op. I'm looking forward to playing with some friends after I get around here.
Somebody.
Put the controller down and get on your knees.
They found me. I don't know how, but they got me.
My bad. They was coming for Shady. So I had to shut down.
I get what you're saying, though, Shady, for sure.
My bad, Shady.
We got carried off on Game Pass, though, and I want to get back on the Piscatel stuff. And I want to get to D, because D's over there eating carrots and shit. What's your take on all these guys just talking about stacks of Xbox? I went to Target. There were pretty much no PS4s. I sent Colt a picture of this, and there was like one Xbox One S, I think it was, in the shelf. You know, I think both are doing phenomenally well this Black Friday. D, what's your take on people just go, pulling shit out of their ass trying to make it look like one's getting steamrolled?
Well, I was out all Black Friday and actually Thursday, because some of the sales started on Thursday. Yeah. So I went to various different places all over the city trying to get different deals for whatnot, right? I to be honest with you, I think all the consoles pretty much were selling at the same rate. I would say the PlayStation 4 was selling a little bit more and did get sold out quicker. Yep. But then once it was sold out, then people said, okay, I want a Switch, okay, I want an Xbox. And I didn't really think the deals were too good on the Xbox. I didn't like the game that they were offering. The price was okay, but I didn't like the games that they were offering.
Nothing compared to that Spider-Man $200.
No, not at all. But
nothing. That was fire.
Yeah, the Xbox One X though, it was attractively priced. So I'm sure a lot of people picked up the X, especially those that maybe didn't want to jump into PC and they wanted something in between that could give them, the games that they want. I think a lot of people picked up the X in that case. But I just think people are just, I don't know, maybe they're going to some rural area where there's a little bit more in that area. But overall, I think they all sold well, to be honest.
I agree. Hey, we got to shout out to 550 people watching us live, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get up to 300 for the end of the show. We do appreciate it.
You did leave out the word narrowly. The PS4 narrowly outsold the Xbox in NPD, which is crazy.
According to Matt Piscatel of NPD, right?
Yeah. In
we just got to state that because these little crackheads.
I also want to add to it too. The UK came out. UK stats came out, and it was the same in the UK. It narrowly won.
Yeah, they were all really close, all three of them, and they all sold really well.
I was going to say, as of today, I was on the digital store, and the X is still $100 cheaper up here in Canada, so I'm not sure how much longer that sale is going to be extended, but it was originally supposed to be just for the Black Friday weekend.
It looks like they're doing it for the week, doesn't it, Shady? Because they're still going, they're saying it's almost over.
Personally, I think they should keep that running up right up until the end of the year. Let these impulse guys buy it on Christmas.
By Microsoft's track record, what they usually do is a week after Black Friday, like Cyber Monday week, they keep it for the entire week till Sunday, and then they wipe it out. And then the one of the 12 days of Christmas that they have, they'll probably have it on sale one of those days. And then after Christmas, Boxing. I don't know if you guys have Boxing Day in the States, but Boxing Day they'll probably put it back on sale for $3.99 again.
What's Boxing Day? I'm kind of curious.
That's Boxing Day. That's National Boxing Day.
For real?
Yeah, right after Christmas.
It's a holiday.
Lomachenko just comes to
that's what we got.
That's what I was saying. Like, who comes?
Yeah, that's when Mike Tyson goes around your house randomly knocking on doors and knocking people out.
That's dope.
I like the way here.
Even Diesel.
Punk Edition Super Chat says 2 lords on the panel. Oh hell yeah! So thanks for the support, bud. God damn it! What was I going to say? Oh, if you're looking for probably the biggest, let's just say you got some money sitting around, right? You got an Xbox One X. You want to make the best console experience even better. SSDs are on sale right now, big time. So if you want a 1 terabyte SSD, for instance, and keep in mind you can take up to 40 seconds off your load time in Final Fantasy, for instance, right? You can buy a 1 terabyte SSD right now for like $130. So get that in the enclosure and You hook that up to your Xbox One X, and you've got really, really fast storage. If you're just looking to kind of, I don't know, blow $130, kind of get a little more out of your console, maybe prefer that. So just letting you guys know that those are on sale. They're going that 4 terabyte D, $800 for a 4 terabyte SSD right now.
Oh,
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, Amazon had some amazing deals on hard drive this Black Friday and also Cyber Monday. That's a great deal, man. You can't go wrong with that, and that'll carry on to the next generation. You know,
keep in mind, we're not talking about the fucking dog shit 5400 RPM hybrid drive stuff. We're talking about like a legitimate solid flash drive, like solid state drive with no moving parts. It's not just a cache; it's the real deal. $800 is a good deal for 4 terabytes. That's ridiculously fast.
$800.
That's $800, but man,
listen, I got 19 terabytes for the cheapest prices that I can get. I could wait a couple. 40 seconds. I got 40 seconds. I got it.
You filling 19 terabytes up with?
I'm sticker.
You would be surprised with all the Game Pass stuff that I can download.
He said it ain't Red Dead.
You know what? It's not Red Dead. It's not gonna be Red Dead until they go on a Black Friday sale for me. It's not gonna be Red Dead.
Yeah.
Red, you're gonna be waiting a long time for Red Dead to go.
I know. Listen, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it with my buyback bucks from my Discover card.
Oh, God. All right.
Refuses to give them the money.
We got Zach. I'm gonna come to you next for the next topic, but Colt Piscatella, thoughts real quick. And the fact that the Xbox is actually doing really, really well, despite what the turds on Twitter are saying.
Yeah, it's still selling well. Consoles are not dead. That was one of the big takeaways. And he ended his tweet with quit complaining about which plastic's better. They're doing well. I think he probably hears too much that the Xbox is dying and it's dead and no one's buying it. And he's the one looking at the numbers. I know it's different across North America. You know, the PlayStation has like a 2 million sales gap over the entire generation over the Xbox. So it's not a gigantic, it's not a 2-to-1 at all. That 2-to-1 carries on the other side of the ocean. So
that's globally, yeah.
Yeah, he's tired of hearing that the Xbox is blowing goats because it's not always blowing goats, right, D? Right, D Badge?
This though, the North American market is the most important market. That's the market that generates the most money. It's got the most people. So although Sony is leading other regions of the world, they don't buy nearly as much as North America. This is the region you want to win in. This is the one that matters.
Hey, listeners, D-Bash talking shit, all right?
Well, what is goat? Steve's got to speak up.
Hey, Shane in the super chat, you're a crackhead, bro. Thanks. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody just paid me to call him a crackhead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shane, I appreciate it.
I'm a crackhead.
He's a good sport. Hey, Zalker, tell us a little bit about this. Tell us a little about this Sea of Thieves update, bud.
Yeah, so it's coming out tomorrow. It's going to have like a new weather type, which is fog, which will make you want to use your crow's nest. They're improving the Kraken. It's actually going to have loot attached to it when you kill a tentacle. There's going to be a new attack type. It's going to deal more damage. It's a bigger fight. Megalodon's getting new models, new loot attached to it. They're going to have skeleton crews on sloops and galleons all over the map, basically attacking you or leaving you alone. 6 new fort locations, mermaid statues that drop diamonds that you can get, skull fort loot, new meg like keg, the explosion kegs, the bigger ones that cause a lot more damage, customizations to your wheel, cannons, and new Athena stuff for Pirate Legends.
So you're saying the
pretty damn big one.
The Kraken body is in this one?
Yeah, they give you full Kraken body.
I don't know if there's going to be a body, but
hey, I got a better and more relevant question. Are there any dolphins?
Are there any dolphins? I don't know.
You can't kill dolphins.
You know the rule, right? I've told you about the rule.
It's got to have a blowhole.
If there's no blowhole,
there's
no blowhole.
Wow.
What did you say, dealer?
There's no blowhole. It's a no-go. I want those dolphins from 2015 back, and they're gone. I have no clue why. Somebody in the chat tell us why the dolphins from Sea of Thieves are gone. They went extinct.
Everyone write hashtag no blowholes.
God
Come on, I want to see it up there.
So for those of you looking forward to the update, hey, Zachary just gave you all the information. You're probably gonna have a video on it later, so check that out.
Yep.
Stuff coming to Sea of Thieves. It's great. Good. They're adding these quality of life type stuff in. and hopefully they continue to update this game while they work on the inevitable sequel in the background. Some may say sequel. Yes, the game did too well not to get a sequel. I don't know if you guys heard, but it's like their most popular new IP or some shit. So
Yep.
doing very well. Speaking of very well, I guess those who are fans of more Japanese style games will be happy to hear that Xbox is opening up a new Asian division. So they're opening up a headquarters over there to improve relations and perhaps kind of spark partnerships. The goal is to get some of those third-party Japanese games over on the Xbox, to work with them and perhaps strike deals to get their games like Persona 5, which is third-party, on the Xbox, which I think you'll inevitably see. Does this kind of anybody here give a
can I talk? Can I talk?
Yeah,
Can I go next? Can I go next?
You know what? He just stole my topic. I know what he's about to do. But go ahead and do it.
No, I'm gonna let you rock. But it's like we talked about obviously on IOP last Sunday. I'm low key excited about this, man, because at the end of the day, this is Microsoft changing their approach. And I guess in the past it would just be Phil or Chris Charlie would go over there, they make a solo visit or whatever, kind of finalize a deal and that's it. But to kind of have a dedicated division over there is huge. You know what I'm saying? And reading that job description and seeing what those guys have to do and establish relations in that territory. And I think another thing people are not thinking about is Korea, especially in China. Those are markets that are budding. So it's really good to see Microsoft recommit because, at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, hey, it's Xbox never going to be successful over there. And this is a very stark change of approach. My whole thing is at the end of the day, expand that library. If you can get these JRPGs or these titles that would not make its way to the Xbox, I'm all for it. And then ultimately, I'm actually looking at it from a mobile standpoint with Project xCloud and to see how they kind of implement that as far as titles that cater to that, because we know console market, for the most part, they're not that strong over there. Obviously, with the sale, the Xbox sale over there. But to see the mobile market growing and maybe kind of implement that influence and have titles that kind of gear towards that would also be interesting. So I think this is low key exciting. Go ahead, King. I know you're about to hit me with the thing for you.
Oh, go ahead, King.
Well, the big difference is before they would go over there and they would visit on vacation and try to woo people and leave town. And now they actually brought up apartment. They brought a little condo. They in the community now.
They can back to the little condo and say, "Look at my hairy bug leg."
and you know what I'm saying? So she can feel comfortable with actually committing to you. When you start to give back to the community, you're gonna give back to the community with actually being there, people actually working there. They see you there. With residence comes a little bit form of permanence and a little confidence inside that situation. So people can look at it and say, well, they're not just, here to mooch off of us. They're actually giving back. I think it's going to turn. It's going to take some time for that part to turn. But as they're grabbing kids coming out of college and, making smaller development houses and doing indie stuff that's there and getting the culture down packed. See, people don't care. We don't care here if it sells there, but it's very important that it does sell in every region, because those regions that you're weak in, you want to make it at least medium. You're not going to be as strong as Nintendo in their own region or strong as Sony in their own region, but you want to make it in some noise. You want to be competitive.
I don't feel like
right now they're not competitive.
Actually, they're doing this to grow that region, though. I feel like they're doing this to get those titles so they can bring them over to the West more than anything. I think they know Japan's a lost cause, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? I think they're saying, hey, maybe we can work with you and you can bring your game over to the West. Maybe we can help you port it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying. Definitely could be that way. Zach, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, actually, I had a conversation with Maslin and he brought something up. DRM, he said that one of the reasons why Microsoft is getting a foothold in there is because in order for them to even buy technology there, like a studio or anything, they need to have a footnote in that region that helps with taxes and contributes to that country and to that part of that demographic. And so to do that, they need to do that to buy like a studio or anything like that. So it's a foothold for Microsoft, because people are saying, oh, why don't they buy Capcom or buy these people? They can't. They really can't because of the restrictions, and they haven't met certain things. And so when Maslin brought that up, I looked it up and it's true. So this is Microsoft as a whole setting a footnote into the Asian market so they can buy certain technologies from them, not just studios, but also things that they're working on, cutting edge technology that might help either their streaming service, their mobile, whatever they have.
That makes sense, man. I heard that all of Activision's IP is actually owned by some little buttfuck country somewhere out east, like in Europe somewhere, because of the taxes. It's like that one little country, the company that sits in there owns all of Activision's IP technically, because they don't have to pay any taxes or way less. Whatever the reason they're doing it is because of money. So I could see Microsoft doing the same thing in Asia, as they need to get, like you said, a foothold there so they can start actively doing stuff in that country legally, almost.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff, but you know, it's what Microsoft needs to do, especially Xbox in that region.
Well, funny how they just figured it out now, right?
Yeah, are they taking serious?
They know who did that for them. Lord and Savior Phil Spencer. They know.
Right. Xbox only begotten son.
Did you say Lord and Savior Phil Spencer?
Yes, I did.
That's what we call him in ILP.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, come on.
Don't do that.
You won't ever get me to say a bad thing about the guy, because I mean everybody has.
I mean, come on, that's far from asking you to call the guy dick face. I mean, come on.
hey.
Lord and Savior Phil Spencer, Jesus Christ.
You know what it is? He's that's our only begotten son. I mean, like, you know, he's the chosen one. He's Neo. He done brought this back, baby.
We'll see how these new games turn out.
He just said, "Hey, let's start spending some money." He didn't.
Yeah, he's over there.
Water into wine.
Like I said, if Terry Myerson would just have left a long time ago, this would have been a lot easier on all of us. But hey, Coldy, two squirts of piss about this Asian HQ stuff.
I mean, it's not my type of game, but more games for Xbox is definitely good. And there are tons of people on Xbox that want that experience on their Xbox and not on a PlayStation. So that's just how it is. Well, so yeah, it's good.
I agree. Hey, we got to give a shout out to 600 people watching this live, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to the 300 for the end of the show. And really, Colt, maybe I don't agree. Remember, we don't want new games, even though we've been asking for new games for over a year. We don't want any of that, right?
No one listens to us anyway, Dealer.
Yeah, no one at all. So just so glad that our people tend to listen. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. We covered it, or at least I covered it on a video a while back. X2 job listings, Xbox 2. We got to call it Xbox 2. Yes, we know it's a stupid name.
5.
That's kind of the name that's in the little search thing. So, you know, that's how it works. Xbox 2 job listings. We got a mechanical engineer. I actually covered this yesterday too on a video. We've also got an electrical engineer. D-Batch, I don't know how much you paid attention to this, but pretty interesting stuff regarding next generation storage solutions, apparently, and next generation accessories for Xbox projects, they call them, which can mean a lot of things. So when it comes to the storage solutions, they're talking about a new engineer to kind of handle all current and future endeavors. And here's why I think they might be doing something a little special, right? The Xbox One X is a 5400 RPM drive. I had originally thought that was 72 because I had never heard of them raising bandwidth of a 5400 RPM drive like that. The base 5400 RPM drive has 40 meg per second bandwidth. They did some customizations to it to get it up to 60, right? And I never heard anything like that before. And then it smacks me in the forehead. Oh, yeah, this is a console. They can do little things like this and make things a little smoother, make things better. So they were able to get more out of that 5400 RPM drive, which I didn't know was really a thing. So instead of plopping in a better drive next generation, we know they're not sticking with 54. The minimum is 72. It has to be, right? It has to be. This storage is so old.
Yeah.
Instead of just plopping in a 3.5 or 2.5 72 RPM drive, or even an SSD, if they're going all out, right? Let's just throw it out there. Fuck it. Why would they need to hire a new lead engineer to work on next generation storage solutions if they could just plop in any drive they wanted next gen? Why would they need this guy if he's not going to do some cool custom stuff to maybe get a little bit more or try things in a different way?
Well, we know Microsoft, they never just like to take things as is. They like to put their own little spin on it. They like to mod it, as we could say, a little bit. Like, for instance, the GPU that's in the Xbox One X, they could have just got an RX 580 and just boom, plopped it in there. But they made some customizations. They increased the bandwidth on it. You know, it runs well in the Xbox One X. It's proof in the games that, like Red Dead Redemption 2 running at 4K native. So I think with the storage, I think they're going to do some type of hybrid. Remember last week we were talking about, Intel on their Optimum drives, how they have the cache on there and it loads almost like a SSD. So I think they might do something like that to cut down the cost, or maybe they're going to mod an SSD to have extremely fast speeds and increase bandwidth
SSDs are
over.
already so damn fast,
Or I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the cloud. Maybe it's something to do with the cloud where they need to, how they're going to cache it. I'm not quite sure, but I wouldn't just expect it to be regular. I think Microsoft is really going to go out next generation. I think they're going to wow us. I personally think we're going to get a minimum an SSD drive in there. I think it's about time. They're not that. You think they're expensive? They're not that expensive. They're really not. Just because on the market they're a little bit more than the regular hard drive doesn't mean that they're actually that expensive.
I mean, they're pretty expensive per gigabyte.
You just said $800 before gigs. I'm sorry.
I just don't.
I heard it. But we don't
off sale like 1 terabyte's like, I think it's down to $200 now for a terabyte. By the time the next Xbox comes out, I'm willing to say it's $150, but that's still a lot. Remember, you got so much.
Honestly, there's different brands of SSD, and there's some like.
Let me ask you this:
Crucial, for instance, Crucial is a great brand. I put it in all of my PCs. It's fast, it's efficient, and it's cheap, and you can get a lot of memory for much less than the competition.
Let me ask you this though, as I covered this in a video about this, right? I said you've only got so much budget. Right? They say, all right, we've got $500 worth of technology we can stick into this box. That's what they're telling themselves from the beginning. Now we could go with the 7200 RPM drive, which is perfectly fine on PC. Very, very fast and loading games on my PC. SSD is just cherry on top, fucking ridiculous fast, right?
Yeah.
They could go with 7200 RPM, let's say for $25, $30, right? Just throw out a price. Or we could go SSD for the same capacity for $60, $70. And we know they're not going lower than 1 terabyte. That would be stupid.
Please.
So instead of investing that extra $40 into GPU, CPU, or RAM capability, should they invest it in something like cherry on top, extra fast load times here or there?
I don't think at that point of the game, the money they allocate to the hard drive is going to affect what the GPU or the CPU is going to be. I'm
just saying, though, each part costs money. It's the reason that they've done everything. The buttons are the way they are. Everything is designed to be as cheap and effective as possible.
I think that's why the specialist is there.
Microsoft could develop something with a company where
that's
they
the
own
guy.
the technology within it, and it's a lot cheaper for them at that point because now they own that technology. So I don't know.
If they had to choose, let's say if they had to choose between an SSD for those little cherry on top loads times, like keep in mind. Or let's say 30% faster GPU performance, what would you choose in a console?
GPU.
You know what? I think at this point, I think it's going to be up to the developers, what the developers recommend and what they want.
Now, here's why I think they might not do that, though, is because they know that most people have so many damn games and external storage is so accessible and easy to use that you're going to be using your external most of the time anyway. Why spend all this money on an internal relatively expensive piece of kit for a console when most people are going to be using they're going to fill up that 1 terabyte in no time. They're using their
but at the same time, I really think that the cloud's going to be an intricate part of the next Xbox, and I think that would be beneficial for them to have a solid state drive in there for whatever they're going to have to do throughout the cloud. I think that would help the system.
Trust me, man. I've got a 1 terabyte, a 500 gig, both of those on my PC. It's phenomenal. I mean, I would like it. Trust me. I'm just saying.
I hear what you're saying. Like for games, to be honest with you, for games on my PC, I don't really care too much if they're on a SSD, unless I was like loading my games up to take to one of my other PCs. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. I just basically need it for my OS, so it boots up quickly, and everything's running smoothly. Right? That's what I need it for.
So, Colt, what's your take on this, huh?
Just how you bookended what you said. That's all I wanted to say is that I don't want them to raise the price of the console $50 or $100 by putting more or better internal storage. Put a small SSD if you have to, like a real small one, just for the operating system. And maybe if you want, like Microsoft could say, if you want, load the main game you're playing the most, on the internal and rely on externals, which are much cheaper, and you get much bigger ones for a better price. It's just better that way. And we already, all of us already own a big hard drive.
You know,
So that's what
That's
I'm
an excellent idea, by the way, Cole.
So what they can do, to be honest with you, is what these new electrical engineers can do is they can program into what you use most. So you could turn it into like a cache, so to speak, on that SSD or whatever hard drive you're using. Yeah. So let's say they use the algorithm, like what they call
intelligent delivery.
Intelligent delivery, but it's kind of like a big O notation. So how long it takes for the input to go through the algorithm. So let's say you play Fortnite a lot. That means that it'll know by learning your mannerisms and what you play that Fortnite should be loaded like that extremely quick. So it'll just do that. It'll keep those in the memory. So it'll like keep your first 6 games that you play like a lot. The top 6 games you play, they can load instantly because they're there in the cache. And as you don't use them, it'll go away from the cache and the next one will come up like an assembly line.
I would say that if there is an SSD, it would be like a small, like custom-ish 20, 25 gig SSD for the OS, and then 10, 15, 20 gigs free as a main cache. The Xbox One X already does use what's essentially a RAM disk. So any games that don't receive a patch and don't use all the RAM, they will store the most recently used assets and the extra RAM of the X. And let's say you leave Skyrim, you leave a building in Skyrim, and you go back in. If you do that a few times, that's stored in the RAM. It'll happen faster and faster. So it kind of like the same principle, but with the OS SSD, perhaps. I don't know. But Shady, we've also got another guy they're hiring who's working on next generation accessories. I know you had some concern that maybe the stuff you had now wouldn't work, right?
Yeah, that's right. I just got a Elite controller again, and I'm hoping it's going to last me until, at the very least, next gen launches, and I would love to bring it with me. It's a fantastic controller. I don't see much they could do with it that's going to improve on my end. If they come out with something new, that's fine. I just want to use the controllers I have now on the new stuff.
Yeah, I think that's rational, and I don't think you're the only person that has thought that. I would say, as I said in the video about it, that I feel like they put Bluetooth in all their controllers. I don't feel like they're going to say, well, that one doesn't work. That's only for Windows 10 and the old Xboxes. You know what I'm saying? That's for Windows 10 and the old Xboxes, not for the new Xboxes. Keep in mind the Xbox controller also uses Wi-Fi Direct. So every Xbox One controller has Wi-Fi Direct, which it uses for the Xbox, and Bluetooth, which it uses for PC and mobile. So maybe they'll go full Bluetooth next gen, but that doesn't make sense because then that means that the older Gen 1 Xbox One controllers wouldn't work. They didn't have Bluetooth in them.
Right.
It just depends. So I think your stuff, though, if it's current, if it's in the past couple of years even, I think you're fine for sure, 1,000%.
Yeah, they're brand new.
Man, I think it needs a touchscreen, needs an LCD screen, RGB,
need a speaker and lights.
Crash out of here.
Yeah, man, they gotta have backward and forward compatibility.
I don't think it needs none of that stuff. I think it needs better grip in the back. That's what it needs. It needs grip that's not falling off every other month. That's what it needs.
Oh shit! So David's one of the motherfuckers ripping the grips off his Elite controller every 5 days.
Listen, I got to hustle for that though. But let me tell you, that's the only thing when we talked to the guy who made the Elite controller. Cognito can give you his name. I'm not great with names. Yeah. He explained that going in, the stuff that they wanted to do and the stuff that they were allowed to do and the stuff that they was able to afford to do. And they narrowed it down and got exactly what we have now at the house. So they hear the concerns about the plastics in the back on the grips lifting up. And we thought that at this EXO, we was going to see the Elite controller too. Being that, you know, it was talked about, but I guess they're gonna probably save that for the next Xbox, to be honest with you.
And to double down what you're saying, Ken, he really illustrated to us how much of a fight it was to get the Elite controller in the current state that it is in now. So you know, it was really a battle to get that through and improve through Microsoft.
That was a big risk initially, right?
Yeah, it was never really done. It's kind of like a novelty niche item. So you figure now, you know, with the next gen, and now you're hearing these reports of these hires and stuff like that. You know, one would only think that version 2 is coming right down the pipe, and I'll be excited for it. And I think I agree with you, Deal. I think there's going to be a lot of, you know, forward and back compatibility as far as accessories. I can't see them with their whole initiative of not leaving, you know, the older things behind. I think all that stuff's coming, so that's where I'm with it.
Yeah, because the original Elite controller was actually kind of like a project that they were like, man, I guess you can make it. It's not going to sell anything. And then when they released it, it was sold out for like months, right? So I think it really surprised a lot of those guys. Widely considered to be the best controller of all time, and I wouldn't disagree. Aside from, maybe the ones David get,
You know what I had to do to get one of those controllers? I had to buy the Elite system just to get the
yes,
Elite
that was the
controller.
hustle. Yes.
Oh yeah.
You could find it.
I said the white one is sold out now in the Microsoft store up in Canada. Anyways, it says out of stock, so people are still buying these things up. Man, it's an insanely nice controller.
And you can't find the Gears of War one. The Gears of War one is probably going for like $500 right now on eBay.
eBay still.
Yeah. Well, hey, for those worried about your accessories, I really wouldn't be. They're all about being able to keep and take what you've got. And furthermore, their adaptation for their controllers to PC and mobile is actually going to kind of come in handy here, because there's no reason that they're just going to have to stop production of that one or separate the line of production for a console and then this one's for PC and mobile. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not cost effective at all. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Hey, we've got the fact that Mike Ybarra is cracking Skull's massive Xbox announcement here by pretty much confirming to Biggie, what's his name? Biggie 298.
Boogie,
right?
Boogie. I said Boogie.
Biggie dead.
Boogie 29888. I guess he's
and I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
Cole got that one.
And soundbite couldn't record it. I'm sorry, dealer. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to get my train of thought here. So Biggie 2988, Boogie 2988. Biggie. You know what I'm talking about, the big giant dude who's actually lost a lot of weight. Actually, he's doing pretty well. But he's did an interview with Mike Ybarra, or he was talking to Mike Ybarra, and Mike Ybarra told him that basically when talking to these studios, they were asking about their budget. So you're talking Obsidian, you're talking In Exile, you're talking teams like maybe even State of Decay. Those guys who made State of Decay. Like, what are we allowed to make? You own us now, but what are the reins here? We're not used to these kind of funds coming in. So what are we allowed to do? How much time are we allowed to take? And Mike Ybarra says, don't worry about the budget. We're Microsoft. We had the budget. How much time do you need? What kind of game do you want to make? So that's absolutely massive. Essentially confirming an unlimited budget, and then smirking while he does it. We're Microsoft, bitch. So I just thought that was really cool, especially considering people are running with, Obsidian are making Winnie the Pooh games and shit. What are they making? We don't know. But that doesn't mean they're making Limbo games, right? That means they're probably making badass games as they have quite a bit in their past. Now with an unlimited budget, we got more of that later. But
what was the theme we saw over and over with these interviews with Ninja Theory and Obsidian? Talking about how they had to deal with Kickstarters, and they had to deal with holding games while they ran out of budget, and so when Ibarra went to them, they're like, "Hey, what's our budget, Mr. Ibarra?" And he said, "Well, what do you want to make?" And they're like, "Well, we're used to being really penny pinching with everything." And he said, "Just what are your wildest dreams?" was the quote according to Boogie. So it's really, really cool, because one of the things that people who don't like Microsoft or Xbox often say is that Microsoft doesn't let their studios do what they want. Right? We hear that all the time. And here, and maybe that was the case, and maybe because this is obviously a totally different Microsoft than we saw even last year.
Facts. In
the past 8-9 months. Like, this is a totally different, bigger Microsoft, open wallet. You got the wallet open with John Travolta looking around like games. But I don't want to talk any more than that. Just this is a really good sign of what's to come.
I think you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And when they're talking budgets, what we heard, Colt, when we're going from interview to interview, Ninja Theory, In Exile, Obsidian, all of these studios, and what we heard was all the same. A bunch of fucking lies. They're all restricted, and they're not telling us every one of them had the same lie lined up, right? We have all this freedom, and now we can make whatever we want. It must be lies. They're all saying the same thing. It's got to be lies, right?
Undead Labs, too. They said
Undead Labs. Foggy, we had him on. He said the same thing. We spoke to that studio head for
the head of
Ninja Theory.
And I spoke to the head of Ninja Theory.
Inconsistent, and the whole thing has been, creative control, which has always been like the rumor in the past that things have been stagnated because of that, as far as resources. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, with Compulsion, they kind of looked at Microsoft like, hey, we kind of make these weird, trippy games, right? And it was kind of like, they were like, hey.
60 Metacritics, right?
I ain't gonna go there, but but at the end of the day, they were just like, she made it a comparison almost to like they were like a local little brewery, and then like Budweiser pulls up. And so you have like, the whole distillery, this is you. And just these examples.
We got these hops.
Yeah, we got these hops. Baby. You know what I'm saying?
These hops,
so it's just like time after time. And again, shout out to, Richard Fogey. We had him on ILP, studio head of Undead Labs. And he said the same thing. It's just like, look, they're not playing around. They're backing the truck up. And it's going to be very exciting to see something like a State of Decay 3, with that full Microsoft backing. It's exciting to me, man, just to hear that culture change, that things are not being restricted. These guys are allowed to go all out. I'm hyped, man. Definitely.
Yeah, that's something that I was looking at, is that the biggest thing a developer needs is time. Because if you go up to the person paying that bill and you're like, we need another year of development, that's millions of dollars, tens of millions, depending on the project. So for Microsoft to just be like, hey, don't worry about it, really just explains like we were just talking about, the culture change that has happened. I mean, we just said that Microsoft is what like its Xbox has been the most profitable it's ever been. At that point, they could have taken a hint or something and been like, you know what, we're going to phone it in. It's all good. But instead, they're tripling down on these and giving these people these budgets that they need, and then telling them, hey, just create the game of your dreams so we can see what you can do. Like, let's see what if you're not held back.
I don't think they're living in a vacuum. I think they actually see the PlayStation games that take 10 to 15 years to make, and why I gotta be 10 to 15? I'm being facetious. But I'm saying that these games that take yeah, right. Technically 2 generations. But these games actually take time, and when they do come out, if they do hit, they actually strike well. And Game Pass allows them to funnel some of the other games through there to get that install base, get that money, keep that subscription service coming in, keep that money flowing in, so that the board sees the money coming in while bigger studios is working on these bangers that's actually going to Game Pass, that's going to actually grow the subscription base. So it's like a ever-turning cycle, like the circle of life is going to keep flowing in, it's going to keep getting bigger. And I understand now, and when talking to Undead Labs and talking to Ninja Theory, their biggest fright was working paycheck to paycheck.
Well, I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than that, man. I honestly think it's Microsoft seeing the talent that's in these new studios and then going, you know what? Because they said they want that in between AA, AAA. Well, I think this is kind of a test to those studios because, hey, at the end of the day, it is a damn business. So, hey, here's an unlimited budget, not unlimited like, oh, waste $1 billion. I'm just saying, like, here's a damn good budget where you can make where you can make something like of your dreams, and let's see if you guys are going to be good enough to maybe be transferred to AAA. Let's see if you have the talent and no excuses, first of all, and no hands tied behind your back to make these games.
Well, that line between AA and AAA, it's hard to define. It varies per project. Obsidian have made Fallout New Vegas, for instance. Some people's favorite Fallout. If that's not a AAA style game, it's Fallout. What is it? I don't know. Like, they bounce around. So I just find it hard to believe that what it is Microsoft has never been out to buy the EAs of the world, as I've said before. They're trying to take something that's worth a fraction of what it could be worth, build it up, install some new employees, some new management, perhaps in some of these studios, hopefully, and really nail out some games. They're investing in the future, and that's the smartest thing they can do. God of War looks as good as it does because it took 5 years to make. Not because, like I said before, not because there's one guy that knows how to make everything look amazing, right? Artists and all that stuff play a big role, but time is where the detail comes from. And now they're already starting to give the studios more time. Halo has the longest dev cycle it's ever had. Gears of War has one of the longest dev cycles it's ever had, and that's with Gear 5, the second one from Coalition. And they're really doing some really cool stuff with that game. I think a lot of people are sleeping on it. And really talking about Obsidian here, these guys are working on a new Unreal Engine 4 project. They showed off a demo of some crap they built, but also confirmed they've got a different project that Microsoft looked at, and they're saying that, hey, they got some other stuff in the works that's not announced from Obsidian, and it looks really, really cool on their end of the spectrum. Meanwhile, you got In Exile talking about their acquisition some more, saying that they've got an unannounced project that they believe actually swayed Microsoft's decision to buy them. They showed it to Microsoft. Microsoft like, hey, what the fuck is that? And that's
That's how they said it.
Phil said that word for word. What the fuck is that? And they believe that actually swayed Microsoft's decision to buy them. And they also said that before they felt like they were developing with one hand tied behind their back. Now they have the money to do what they want to do. They were struggling. They were on Kickstarter. They were struggling just like Obsidian, just like Ninja Theory. Many argue that all of these studios would have went under eventually, if not for Microsoft. And In Exile say their team has pretty much already grown 30% as a result. New hires, building a bigger team. You're turning something that was relatively kind of small. What was In Exile, like 70, 80 employees, something like that?
It was 70. It was 70 with like 15 contractors.
And in the past couple of years, we actually lost a lot of multi-platform studios that we all loved that all closed down. And, like Ninja Theory and Obsidian could have been one of them, And those are two studios that we all enjoyed their games, like Enslaved Odyssey of the West. They had some really cool stuff. So
that team has grown 30% since they bought them. So another 30 employees. That's big for a team like that. The owner's like, you know what? This is the first time where I'm not stressed about telling my employees what's up next. Like I have no stress now. We can just make what we want to make, and we can literally increase our graphical fidelity because of this.
It cultivates that creative process because you don't have that stigma that over your head. You know what I mean? Like you're just relaxed, and that's how great ideas and things come to be. So I think that's a great point, Dan. I think Microsoft doesn't get enough credit for that because, like Cole said, like we've been losing studios, man. You know what I mean? We've been losing them.
Might lose another one after these Darksiders reviews. Fine.
Hey, man, I want that game to do
nobody
so well.
wants that to happen, right? But I'm just saying, it is a very real possibility. These types of games have vanished from the market.
One game can do it too. Yeah,
they've done so for a reason. They're kind of expensive to make, but they're not as good looking or have as many features or as big as some of their competitors. So they don't sell that magic mark. They don't get to that magic number. Kind of like Onrush. It was kind of expensive to make. It didn't do very well. That team shut down like that same month. It was nuts.
Yeah. And the CEO of In Exile actually talked about like he was close, like he kind of hinted he was close to retiring. And then they asked him, are you going to do that? And he was like, hell no. He's like, this is the first time in my career that I feel free to do whatever the hell I want. He's like, and it's like I feel so unrestricted, and so do my employees.
Nice.
It's like, damn.
He got on his electric cart and was like, let's do it.
Realistically, though, an unlimited budget sounds really nice, but I'd like to see these developers have like a realistic vision of what their game is going to cost and try and stick with it, man. They don't need to just, oh, it's okay, it'll take another week. It can get blasé when there's nothing really on the line. There's no risk on their end anymore. So
I think they're
going to succeed with it, but I don't want to get too cushy up in here with
I think they propose a budget.
Around.
I don't think that's something you got to be told. I think they know that, right? I think this is Mike Ibarra is just saying take as much time as you need to figure out the concept of your game. If you already have one, great. Show us a build and we'll figure out what you want to do. And there's a whole system to that they don't talk about, right?
If you look at the new studios, man, Shady, they kind of talked about like, oh, every single one of them has said, yeah, we have this unannounced game. Microsoft knows what they're doing and they trusted that vision. It's one of the reasons why they bought them, right? And then,
good point.
Ninja Theory, In Exile, Obsidian, everybody has this other game that like hasn't been announced. Like every single one. It's like crazy. Even Playground Games, which we kind of know what it is, but they trust that process and the leadership within that studio for Microsoft to be like, you know what, it's worth the risk.
No doubt. They have the money to spend, man. I got high hopes. I'm pretty sure at least a couple of these guys are going to come out and deliver. No doubt. I'm just hoping that they all do.
Yeah, I mean, will all of them deliver bangers, quote unquote? No, they won't. I mean, let's just be honest. But at the end of the day, they're going to try to offer variety. Even though apparently now Obsidian and RPG Studio are making Limbo games, I'm hoping that each of them, that be that Obsidian with their RPG roots, both top down, first person, third person, everything. They're in everything. It's an RPG studio, and then you've got all these other studios doing what they do. Will all of them be 80s? Probably not. Will any of them be 90s? Who knows? That's not easy to do.
Some of them could surprise, like Compulsion Games, like their game didn't. We Happy Few wasn't really great. I think it's in the 60s or high 60s, but like they could surprise. They were working under the guise of a Kickstarter basically and trying to get their game out and changing it along the way as funding was coming in bit by bit. But maybe you never know. Maybe Compulsion Games could put out something that was like, wow, that you never. Or Compulsion Games could be one of the lower spots of those studios. We just don't know. That's why it's going to be super interesting to see what comes up at the end of the generation and the beginning, like of the next. It could be really cool.
Yeah, it could. Hey, we got to give another shout out to 600 people watching this live, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 300 for the end of the show. We do appreciate it so much. And I think you're right, Colt. It's it could go any way, man. I've been surprised a few times this year by like God of War was fucking phenomenal. Spider-Man was phenomenal. Assassin's Creed Odyssey blew my fucking mind. A Red Dead, the way that game came out and just curb stomped everything on the market technically superior to almost every game in every single way, and it's open world. And it's running native 4K on the X, showing developers, hey, look what we're doing, bitch. You know, I think that's important, and it serves as a new benchmark of technical competence for other developers. Maybe apply yourselves a little more. You got games running at 1200p on the X. Ain't no fucking way, you know. So I think it's kind of crazy. And at the end of the day, will every new studio pump out a banger? Probably not.
Batman at 1100p remastered, X enhanced.
But, hey, I'm looking forward to the new games, and all of you motherfuckers out there complaining about you need more games. Xbox got no games the second the X was revealed because you no longer had power. You should be applauding this. This is what you wanted. This is what we wanted at RDX Podcast, Iron Lords. We've all wanted more games. We've all asked for more software from day one, and absolutely. I am actually very happy about this. D-Batch, I'll give you the final word on this particular thing, and we'll move on to the next topic. Studios, more employees, better budget, all coming out saying the same thing. Kind of your final thoughts here. Okay, thanks.
So sorry,
give him 1 second.
Hold on.
Give him a second to stop petting the goat and talk.
Right, repeat the question. I'm sorry, man.
Oh my God! Repeat the question too.
He said, repeat it.
It means he was gone for the whole last topic.
He said, how you feel about the studios, man?
30% hiring rate for In Exile. They've confirmed 30% growth to that studio already. Better budget. There's unannounced games they feel have swayed Microsoft into buying them in the first place. CEOs like, fuck, I'm doing burnouts in my Ferrari now before I was eating Hot Pockets. What are you
Oh, damn.
Well, I think it's phenomenal, first of all. A lot of these studios, they were handicapped by not having the budget. I think some of these guys are talented, but of course, if you don't have the money to hire the people you need or to get the equipment that you need and you know the R&D to make your game, you know, it's not going to come out to the best. Microsoft has so much money behind them. And I'm watching all the little things behind the scenes, like all the, you know, from all the other companies that they're picking up talent from. I think next generation, I think Microsoft is really going to deliver on their exclusive titles where Sony and other people that were doubting them, counting them out, are going to be impressed. They have to be. Look how many studios. They got 13 studios. They're taking all the top talent, cherry picking them from every single company because they got the funds to do it. Something is going to come out of this for sure. Definitely.
They've got talent from they got God of War 2018's lead producer at the initiative. They got Rocksteady, BioShock talent, all kinds of people working with them, in addition to over doubling their creative talent with their studios. They've literally over doubled their studio count in the last 6 months as well. You'd have to be an idiot not to be optimistic and praise them for this move. It's easy for people to write them off and say, you didn't show me a game 6 months after you announced the studio. That's just
that's not how it works, dealer. I thought it works when you get a studio that the games come immediately. That's how
I don't think so. And I think
file save as game.
File save.
I don't know, man. I feel like people get in these podcasts and the logic goes out the window. You know, why would you show something like Fable 4 at XO? Why would you do? E3 is the biggest show in the world. Why would you show something like Fable 4 at XO or any other game?
You're right, dealer.
Event, you know?
You're right, because they asked for the Xbox to be more powerful because it was weaker than the PS4. They delivered. They asked for Xbox once they had the power. They knew it was coming. They're like, "Where's the games? Here comes the games." They got like Zocker said, they tripled their efforts. They tripled their spending. And they're like, well, they're going to be AA. It's just moving the goalposts. It's a double standard. Just be excited because If you don't want an Xbox, just play them on PC.
Well, realistically, how many studios
Yeah.
does Sony have? Is it not about 4 to 5 studios that they have?
No, they got like 12 creative forces there, but I was talking to Rand about this, and I was thinking, like, which ones can we remember? And it's really Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog. They've got Guerrilla Games, and they got Sony Bend.
And then you fall off the cliff after that.
So
right?
yeah, like they got Sony Bend, the guys who doing the Days Gone, right? And early reports of that are not good at all. There was some more reports came out yesterday or the day before. They've got. And I know each of those studios has like a couple teams as well, which is great. But at the end of the day, I would argue that next generation Microsoft are going to have more competent studios. I would say that 343 Coalition, Turn 10. You've also got like Obsidian. You've got Ninja Theory. You've got even Rare with their new funding and their new team. You know, I'm not going to bolster them until I see results from one of these, but you get what I'm saying. You got Playground. I think that they're very
Tired
they're technically competent there when it comes to their studios and the quality and at least for the most part. That's what I'm trying to fucking say.
And that quadruple A.
Hey, Y9 Pound Super Chat says need third-party marketing deals. Do you agree with that, Mr. Zauker?
Do I agree that they need third-party marketing deals?
Mm-hmm. Do you think they matter?
I think they matter to some extent. I mean, if you look at this holiday season, that's what basically PlayStation kind of rode Spider-Man and then rode those third-party marketing deals all the way home in the holiday with Red Dead and Call of Duty. The games that Microsoft has in the third-party marketing deals, Fallout 76, which is a banger, everyone's loving it, and then you have
Battlefield 5.
And you have Battlefield 5. All these games that are surrounded with drama, and I think they matter to some extent. But at the end of the day, I think the exclusives that you bring out matter, and I think that was a solid second party deal they did with Insomniac for Spider-Man. That could be a good thing that Microsoft would do something like that. Maybe announce something that they said. Phil said that, right? He said they had some things inked out.
Well, it helps
that they didn't talk.
Pull the game of their fucking lives out of their ass randomly.
Yeah.
So you see Rand the fraud in the chat. He says, "Don't lie to these people. Tell them how much you hate Red Dead." Cough off,
Shut up, Lord Rand.
You know what I said about Rand? Act 5 in Red Dead is completely fucking pointless in my opinion. Because I absolutely believe that. The whole point of it is just to get the fuck out, right? I think it's a waste of time. I think Act 5 is a complete waste of time. I still think it's a good game, but it's for one of those, it's kind of hard to jump back into. It's kind of like Witcher 3. And the fact that if you take a little while off, you kind of got to get back in the swing of things. And once you do, and it starts to click again, like Colt was in a party with me last time I was playing. I was like, man, I'm really enjoying this game again. But then I'm tired and I'm not into it. And I'm like, fuck, these fucking controls are pissing me off sometimes.
It's one of the longest games I've played in a long time. And I have 70 hours into Odyssey and I'm not done yet. But I think I have, the Xbox says I have like 120 hours, but I have probably like at least 80 or 90 hours into that game and I'm still not even done. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big game, and everybody in the panel has probably played Red Dead except for one fraud.
Shots fired.
Tell about it. Hey, but you can cash at me that $60 that go get it. Hell yeah! Give me some of that 4K love, baby.
That one of them fucking 1080s you got in that PC, goddamn.
I know,
right? It doesn't work, right?
Hashtag PC.
I think those third-party deals definitely work for the simple fact that Sony's not going to be at E3. I think a lot of those companies are going to feel kind of burnt because they don't get a chance to showcase their games on that stage like they would normally do. So I think when it's time to re-up deals, they're going to look at the viability that somebody that's always going to show up to work all the time, except for that guy that's always calling out. Missing shows, missing showcases, coasting. It's a lot when it comes to credibility and you being there, and showing and putting forth effort. And I think that's going to go a long way going forward. I really do. I think that's going to really bite them in the butt. Be honest with you.
It's going to go for the big games, bud. I mean, if you looked at what Sony did at E3 for Call of Duty, they showed a 30-second clip and then moved on to the flute guy. So that's like literally what they did, and it wasn't. That's all they did. And I think the other game, Dying Light, Cyberpunk, I think it matters to those games a lot more than it does like Call of Duty or Battlefield or those big games.
Yeah.
I think it
Those
matters
guys
to
have
those
their
little
own
ones.
show as well too.
And-
so yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then not to mention it's just going to give Xbox the picking. Like they're going to get to pick whatever the hell they want because I mean, there's no competition. There's
Well,
going to be like
there was competition this year, and they still got all the best games on their stage.
Well, because
pretty
the
much,
X
so.
the X blew people away, and that's what everybody wanted them to see it on was the
Well,
X.
none of
They
the,
didn't want to
hardly
see it
any
on
of
the
that shit was on the X though. You know, like Cyberpunk, but on the X. You know, I don't think none of that had anything to do with it. I think that my Aaron Greenberg confirmed that CD Projekt Red came to them to debut on their show. And I think that people are kind of excited about the possibility of the partnerships. But at the end of the day, Armin in the super chat, man, thanks a lot. We also got somebody called Clobreel, who apparently the first thing he would tell you is he's not an insider, even though he has all this fucking inside information. So I would definitely call him an insider. I got that comment like 3 times. Like, who the fuck are you hearing this from? This guy has access to the back end of Xbox Live, leaking things to us through the APIs of the system, right? That's an insider to me. So, yeah, he's the guy who leaked Perfect Dark. He's the guy who leaked Mecha Soul. He's the guy who leaked Fable. He's the guy who told us they were testing Crackdown betas and there was beta logs and blah, blah, blah. And recently, he's the guy who suggested, and like I said in my video, that they could be considering the purchase of IO Interactive. Maybe he's just pulling this out of his ass because it kind of seems like common sense. The studio's latest game, Hitman 2, just flopped hard. And maybe Microsoft are considering them. But here's the problem. What are they going to make? Square Enix owned the rights to Hitman. IO Interactive had the exclusive rights to make their IP, Hitman. So they don't own Hitman, but they're the only ones who can make Hitman right now, which is weird. And if Microsoft bought them, if they bought them just to, if they're going to buy them rather, to build more Hitman games, that's a massive L. Nobody's buying a console to play Hitman. Nobody, everyone can play Hitman right now, and they're not playing it. So it'd have to be a
fact.
if they're going to do this, if they're going to do this, it'd have to be a complete reboot, like God of War style, like complete revamp of Hitman. Way more realism, just photorealistic fucking graphics. Like if I'm gonna wait 5 minutes to watch a guy eat some toast that I poisoned, it better look damn good.
Well, right now should tell them not to make another Hitman. I mean, that's if they're thinking about buying IO, that's they're learning a lesson right now that hey, if we're gonna grab them, we need to tell them, hey, you're gonna make something where a guy has hair.
Wow.
I think by the way, dealer, I think IO actually owns the IP to Hitman. There was something like they put on their Twitter that they said that they do own the full IP of Hitman.
I thought so too. But either way, Hitman's trash.
Well, we have to refer to one Randall Althor because I was talking to him about it and he said the same thing, that Square Enix own it, but Hitman have the rights to make it or something.
Right, exclusive.
I don't know, but either way, even if they do own it, flush the shit down the toilet. You're done. No more Hitman. You got to make something else if you get bought by Microsoft, and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck that would even be.
Yeah.
What would it be?
They would need to
some
have
type of stealth game,
or an action game. I think it'd be good in an action game as well, because I think
a game where you just play as D-Batch hunt for Black Friday deals, huh?
I think the reason why Hitman's doing so poorly is I think it's the pacing of the game, because there are some really slow parts in that game, and it can be a little bit repetitive because it's trial and error. Because if you screw up, you got to go back and you got to do all this stuff all over again, or plan your mission a different way. So I can see how people could get bored with it. I'm enjoying the game, but I could see why people don't like the game. So
hey, nobody's saying that it's bad either. I just want to clarify. We're not saying that it's bad. As a matter of fact, the last one reviewed pretty well. It's just that the interest is not there. The game didn't sell very well. It's technically competent. The last one looks better than any other one. It's apparently it's a nice, full, finished, great game. They're independent now. They bought their independence from fucking Square Enix. Once Zalker Rand called you a corpse and said that you're wrong, they don't own they don't own Hitman, apparently. I don't fucking know. Rand's a fraud too. So yeah, I mean, I guess you have to wait and see. But we're not saying that Hitman's bad. We're just saying that right now it is not achieving results. As a matter of fact, they're losing money, and they just went independent, and it's causing them to possibly be acquired by somebody who they've already tried to sell themselves to, apparently. So shady style. So I don't know. Anybody else got any opinions on this?
They just need to have a game in development that Microsoft will like, just like the other ones. Like, hey, what's your like other game that you want to make? Right? And if they have that, then Microsoft will start kicking rocks over to see what's up. But also, I think IO Interactive should fire their whole marketing strategy team. Way to release a game after freaking Red Dead and freaking Fallout. Like, good job, guys.
Yeah.
It's just the
I just say just slap Battle Royale on it and throw it back into WoW.
It's just a mat full of people waiting for you to eat their toast.
Yeah, it is.
Franchise. It's just franchise
There's only
fatigue right
17
now.
people left.
Which piece of toast has the decon on it?
You're just walking around assassinating people on a battle royale map. Just
Brian Di Domenico, sorry if I mess up that name. He said that they should pull a Guerrilla Games and make something totally different. I think that's a really good idea for studios like that. Yeah, just go out on a limb, make something totally different than Hitman, and see if you.
I think Ubisoft got the right idea. They should invest in a Life of YouTuber OMG edition style game. That's a real game that Rand sent me. He sends me this code. I'm like, I'm sure it's fucking trash. He'd done this before. I put it in. It's a Life of YouTuber OMG edition.
Rand sends the random. He sent me like drunken banana peeler or some crap like that.
First of all, Rand's
like, here you go, cult.
There
This
you
guy
go.
gets like 1 million games a month, and he
Peel
sends me
peel
like,
the banana with your butt cheeks.
thanks, Rand. 1,000 gamer score.
Yeah.
Rand has all those. By the way, Rand's a fraud because IO Interactive does own Hitman. I have it right here in a link.
Rand, you're gonna prove
Ron, you're a fraud.
Everyone
We
in the
go,
chat,
Rand.
put an L for Rand right now. Just type.
He just closed the door. I just saw him run.
everyone type fraud Al Thor in the chat.
Oh, geez, he just blocked me on Twitter.
There you go. That's how it starts.
Oh my God.
We love Rand big, like we love Rand big time.
Send me the link. Hold that L. He said, "Send that link." You approve.
Yeah, he don't believe it. He don't believe corpses can Google things, Zucker.
He wants to.
We love Rand.
I guess we can wait for this to unfold.
No, we don't need to. I know
These
Rand's
L's are
a
like cracking
Corey
up. Like
there,
Christ
Corey.
Almighty.
The L's on my man right now.
They got L's all over the place.
That's my
Get in
royalty
on
in the
this.
chat. Y'all put respect on his name, damn it.
Yeah, I will destroy that corpse.
I would destroy. They sound like a necrophiliac right now.
It
I'm out.
does, Rand.
Yeah, whoa.
Yep, they're doing it. Rand. Maybe Rand could link you. Maybe I could.
This is the first time I've ever seen Rand not be right. He is a wealth of information.
I literally just Googled it. I was like, who does own it? And it literally just says it.
I know some things
they own
Rand
it
can
or
take
not.
your nails on.
No one wants another Hitman game after the one that just
Yeah,
came out.
either way, they own a useless
Fresh.
IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have other topics besides Hitman on the list, Dealer?
I mean, I don't know if you did for the hour and 30 minutes, but we had some things we talked about.
He said he just woke up. He said, man.
Cody's getting into it.
You're
So
my
at the
boy,
end of the
Rand.
day, I guess we can just say this. I think it's a good time to be a fan of gaming. This year's been really phenomenal, especially if you own both platforms. If not, you've gotten some really, really great multi-platform editions of some of the best games in a very long time, especially like Odyssey and Red Dead really come to mind. For those who still haven't tried Odyssey, please fucking do yourself a favor and try Odyssey. It's the most fun I've had all year. Yes, that includes Red Dead. Red Dead does a lot of things better. But you know how you can play a game like God of War. I think was a better game than Spider-Man, and I gave that a 9.5. But I had more fun playing Spider-Man a lot of times. You know, if that makes any sense. Anybody
Yes, it makes a lot of sense because Game of the Year, Spider-Man definitely was a better game than God of War. But
I don't think so.
Oh,
I'm surprised you bought it.
Everybody's
That's good.
different. Everybody's different. I had a smile on my face the entire playthrough of Spider-Man. It was just total fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I loved God of War, and it was like Dealer forgot about Far Cry 5. That was like a really great game at the beginning of the year. Like,
I wouldn't put it in that conversation though at all.
I will smack you like a bitch.
It's just a lot of great games. I don't think at any point in time the ante keeps going up every year, to be honest with you. Because last year we had all that Zelda stuff and all that other stuff, and then it goes up again and it goes up again.
On the realm of legends, get the fuck out of here.
Zelda
got crushed by Witcher
Zelda
3
Breath
in
of the
2015.
World.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that Breath of the Wild was fantastic. You can't front on that
You
game.
talking to Dealer? That man ain't touching the Switch.
Sorry. Zelda got a 10 because it's called Zelda. You just got to keep it real, man.
It was a good game.
How many times did your stick break in that game?
Listen, that's realism, Dorker. Dorker, that's realism.
You know when I'm beating the shit out of a magical creature, my stick does break.
That's right. That's right. All those different gameplay systems.
Said, you know, when I'm fighting a unicorn, I don't expect my stick to stay stuck.
Fucking
Really
climbing up the
uncomfortable right
side of a
now.
mountain, you die of stamina outage, you fall off and die.
You're not gonna have this Switch slam in.
Sorry, but anybody who tries to say Zelda is up there.
Listen, when
Hey, I'll tell you what.
when you
for
can
Black-
stay and your battle royale special move is to bite him, you're done, son.
Hey, man, come on.
You know what?
Come on now.
For Black Friday, dealer could have bought a Switch. Instead, he bought a robot vacuum. That tells you how much.
I already know. I know dealer be
Actually, I bought a robot vacuum and I bought a Switch for the robot vacuum to play. I ain't put it in the corner trying to beat
He's
Zelda.
got
Right
it
now.
sitting on top of the robot vacuum. You having fun with Zelda Breath of the Wild? Oh, you put the stick, didn't
You
you?
missed the spot, bitch.
hilarious.
Hey, we want to give a shout out to everybody who showed up, guys. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. We got the best chat in the universe. We do appreciate you and what you do. Thanks for showing up. Hit that like button. We're going to get to some outros. We've been here for a while. Absolutely fantastic show. Shout out to the Iron Lords, who we will get to in their outros. And thanks once again, guys. That's our topics. That's our time. Consider sharing this bitch somewhere. And check out those links down below. Doing Patreon giveaways and all kinds of stuff. I got some links down there for you to click on and shit. And we're going to get some outros. Colt Eastwood, man. It's a fast outro here out of nowhere. But I just realized.
You can find me at Colt Eastwood on Twitter and YouTube. And I've just had a really good week. And things are just getting better and better. So, yeah, great show tonight. Iron Lords really just killed it tonight. It was awesome.
I didn't
the
mean
chat
the
was
outro
fun.
had to be fast. I mean, like a fast. I've transitioned into outro.
You rushed him. You rushed
I'm just told you, so you can find me on Twitter and you can add me on Xbox Live and Twitter. No, I mean, you got a lot of people. I talk here every week. Get on to everybody else.
Well, a lot of people come here to hear you talk, don't they?
Sometimes.
You little bitch.
I'm playing Red Dead, guys. Yeah.
What have you been playing?
Red
You've been playing Red Dead?
I'm like really close to the end. Yeah, I'm
Tell
loving it.
people
It's
about
awesome.
you and Aaron Greenberg there. Not to jump in.
Oh, okay. God, dang it. Tonight has been hilarious. Aaron Greenberg, I think he truly liked a graphic I did for my thumbnail. It's kind of like the studios in a circle with all the characters from their studios.
Dope.
And he asked if I could send it to him. So he's going to do something cool with it. And when I hear more, I'll share that, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Shout out to Colt for having professional. Those everyone steals by mistake.
Yeah.
He's so
this
cool,
time
everybody thinks it's someone else, and we're like, "No, it's Colt." Oh shit!
Stop stealing Colt shit on accident.
Yeah, my bad, Colt.
Yeah, it's really cool though. It's made me pretty happy.
It
'Cause,
happens.
I mean, I do this stuff because I like sharing this stuff, and I like when people say, "Hey, I like that too," and it makes it worth it. So it's
High
cool.
quality, bro.
Hey, it's not as bad when you guys, find some cool looking stuff on Google and borrow it. We'll say at least you're not a fucking crackhead, some toxic dude that has nothing but negative stuff to say about anybody doing it. So that's kind of been the thing that's happened. But thanks again, Colt. I'm sure there are at least 5,000 people in the chat that really appreciate your presence and want to hear you talk every week.
That's right. Thank you.
Hey, we've also got So Shady Bud. What have you been playing, Bud? And we're kind of glad to have you on, Bud. Sorry we have a lot of people on this week, and
don't apologize to me for that, man. It's all good. I loved hearing the Lords. It was great to have them on the show. Thanks, guys. I am So Shady on Twitter at the Sesh Empire. On Xbox, I'm just So Shady. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 5 online. It is so smooth. It doesn't even do it justice. Crispy smooth doesn't do it justice. The game is incredible online. I'm having a great time with that. And then I don't know what to say, man. I've been playing some Spyro. It's raining achievements on me like no other. I'm having a good time. The vividness and vibrancy of that game, it hurts my eyes to play. It's so bloody bright. But I'm having a good time with it. I didn't play it back in the day, and it's a well-made platformer, man.
Hey, what the fuck? I wanted to talk about this real quick. The Arkham Trilogy dropped, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the game you can buy commonly for $20, Arkham Knight. Then you got the Batman remasters, which are commonly $10-20. They released the Trilogy, which is just the two bundled, Arkham Asylum City plus Arkham Knight, for $60. So they increased the price overall. Then they say that the bundle's Xbox One enhanced. True, the first two are. They're not really greatly enhanced. They still look really good, and do have 60 FPS challenge maps in the games. But then Arkham Knight's in there, and it's not enhanced. So that kind of
Oh,
begs the
gosh.
question: is that because when you go to buy this product, keep in mind they've raised the price of $59.99 in the store.
Mhm.
If you go to buy this price or this product, and it says Xbox One X enhanced over it for $60, you're assuming this whole package for $50, $60 is enhanced.
Yeah.
And one of those titles is not. Would you consider that some kind of misadvertising by Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fraud.
Yeah.
Because imagine you're playing through the first 2 games, you boot up Night, and you're like, ah!
Yeah, with Night being the newer game, it's technically the better game, but it looks the worst now, resolution-wise.
I mean, it's like 900p anti-aliased, and coming from the first 2 that are really, really sharp and crisp, I don't give a fuck what nobody. The analysis says the games look amazing, right? And then going to Night, even though it has technically better, superior graphics effects like physically based materials and all the stuff going on that Night has, it's one of the best looking games of all time on PC. But it's at 900p anti-aliased. It's not easy. And you guys really think that's misadvertising on Warner Brothers' part? Because I'm thinking about tweeting at them and at the very least trying to get them to fucking send the janitor over and enhance that bitch in 30 minutes. Whatever they got to do.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, no uniformity. Yeah.
Say what?
They got to flip the switch. Maybe they forgot.
That's like the one game I want enhanced almost more than any other was Batman. I still recall turning that game on for the first time. My jaw was on the ground. I couldn't believe it. That was one of the biggest next gen moments for my Xbox One was when I first turned that game on. I just couldn't believe the size, scope, scale, the graphics. It was amazing for me.
Mm-hmm. And this was before the X, so 900p didn't look all that bad back then. You're used to 4K and shit now, so obviously it's like hearing a great pair of headphones and then going back down to the little dinky ones. You're like, fuck, what the fuck
That's
is that?
right. That's the thing. I mean, whether you want it to or not, once you start looking at a lot of 4K content, you will become very accustomed to that. And once you start looking at other stuff that's not, man, does it just really jump out at you as being not as nice.
I'm telling you guys, if you got the funds and you haven't upgraded to the X and you're like, fuck, what can I get? X is on sale for like $400 right now. And apparently trying to save you guys money is me trying to sell Xboxes, but hey, it's a fucking badass fucking deal for something that's going to blow your mind. I'm telling you that right now in terms of fidelity. It's great. But I just figured I'd bring that up. It's really disappointing that Arkham Knight isn't enhanced, at least not right now. I booted it up and I saw the jaggies in the main menu. I'm like, fuck, man. It is disappointing.
That's not what I paid for.
It's not premium. It's not the premium experience.
I own the damn games. I've beaten all the games on several platforms, and they're great games. But it is unfortunate that Night isn't enhanced. That's a technical showcase. But anyways, I digress. So we did. That was shady. D-Batch, brother. What have you been playing, man? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at D_batch and on YouTube at D-Batch. And I've been playing a lot of Battlefield, man. Battlefield is just, it's so nice. The graphics are just amazing. The gameplay, everything's on point in that game. And I actually got back into a little bit of VR. They had some Steam sales, so I picked up some titles I've been longing for. So I've been getting motion sickness in VR, but I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous. And I got to say, those space games, when you play them in VR, when you start spinning, you really start to feel it.
Yeah.
It's like an out-of-body experience. I'm like, oh, it's a lot, man. VR is sick, man. I love it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. And also, too, I just dropped a video today on the alleged GT Sport doing 8K and 120 frames per second. Yeah. Go check that video out.
Brandon and Zucker having a back and forth in a DM right now.
Is he not conceded?
No. Well,
Rand went down to the courthouse and started opening up.
You got the official docs, man. He ain't playing right now. He's not playing with you right now, Zucker. You coming for his name.
What Zucker's doing is typing into Google, IO does own Hitman IP. And he's coming up with an article.
You went down to the courthouse, got everything.
He got them sealed documents for you, so
He got the federalist papers.
Got the deed to the IP. So Zucker, are you conceding? Do you see in here thing that maybe
don't concede?
Are you a court?
I never concede. It's just the way it goes. It's okay. It took him like 30 minutes. He came back. It was great.
So maybe they don't own the Hitman IP after all.
They specifically say they do. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay,
We're moving
Tony
on.
Zocker has the last word. Rand's
Yeah,
not in
I'm
here
Zocker.
now. We can leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, either way, no one gives a fuck. It's Hitman. Anyway, hey, Zucker, what have you been playing, bud? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I've been playing Rocket League, Red Dead Redemption, just playing a bunch of games. And my buddy my game share partner got Fallout 76. So I downloaded that, find out how that is, probably play that tonight. And you guys can find me at Zalker87 on Twitter. And then go to my YouTube channel, check out Zalker87. And I have a bunch of content, a bunch of my opinion pieces, and a bunch of news stuff like that. And Rand's a bitch. Yeah, we're all good.
damn.
What a way to go out, Zonka. That was what's up.
This is either going to propel Zocker to super fame or knock him down to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go much further down, bro. So we're all good. You guys are starting out.
Crispy smooth.
Just so we're 1,000% clear, Rand, Zucker, Colt, and I, we're in a party like every fucking night.
Yep,
so.
yep.
Yeah.
He's just kidding. He's just
Yeah,
kidding.
me and Rand are really good buds, man.
There's some stupid idiot that just got that soundbite. We just called you a bitch, Rand.
Crumbside news is all over.
Crumbside news shit. So,
It's the crumb side news.
so I got Colt, I got Zucker, I got D, I got Shady. So we're down to Mr. Lord Cognito. What have you been playing, bud? And where can people find you?
I'm playing absolutely nothing because I got my new PC rig from Black Friday. Cyber Power decided to ship my rig today. I'm excited to get this i9 popping.
I got a story for you.
Yeah, man. So I'm just getting that going. Other than that, man, just trying to improve, man. Yo, first of all, shout out to RDX, man. This is one of my favorite podcasts. You guys are absolutely great. Technical knowledge, good labs, good group of people. Always a pleasure to be in the realm of RDX. So shout out to you guys. Huge fan. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've been rocking with you I was coming on your channel, little dinky Iron Lords. You guys are getting out there. It's good.
Get out there, man. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day. You already know, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during football season. Please catch us this Sunday, and then we go back at the top of the year, 1 p.m. Eastern. And one day, we will get Colt, Lord D-Badge, Stalker, and Shady.
Yeah.
If it ain't got a blow, it ain't a no-go. Let's go.
I'm snatching you people, dealer. I'm snatching.
David, what you been playing? We know it ain't Red Dead. What you got?
Well, I've been playing a game that came out in January, Nino Kuni 2. Listen, I need people to follow me on PlayStation or like and friend me because I have nobody over there. My tag is Xbox 360 Lover 01. So you can find me on Iron Lords Podcast, King David OTW on Xbox, Combat Talk with the King. King of Statues show's coming. We have a lot of things cooking over there, and trust me, I'll be playing Red Dead. I'm just getting through all this backlog before I can get back on Destiny, because once that mistress takes my soul, I'm done, brother.
Right.
So I'll be on Red Dead. I'm gonna get that. Don't worry about that. I'm in there.
Rand is
and Spider-Man.
Rand is linking me to Zalker's L in real time. And,
he's not letting it go.
He's Lord Petty.
It looks like that Square Enix kept the all the IP stuff for Hitman, and so I think Square Enix owned the Hitman IP.
I'm gonna put a special gift.
IO Interactive literally says they have control over their studio and the Hitman IP.
I
They
think
want
they
it
have
for their
control over
own
it.
future.
I think they have control over it, meaning they have the right to make it, like I said earlier, but they don't own it.
I recall hearing Square Enix just handed him the IP, like, yeah, get this out of here too. It's trash.
No, I mean, he linked it. He linked it right here. Like he linked it right here.
It's trash.
He said, "Take your trash."
Take your shit. They're like, all right, we don't need you anymore. Take your shit with you. Through the bags out.
That's what I heard.
Little barcodes.
This is the longest outro of all time for us.
You got like an Iron Lords outro now.
We're gonna get the fuck out of here, play some games, eat some food, guys. Thanks for checking us out. Hit that like button on your way out. Check out the links down below, giveaways and more on Patreon. We are out, guys. See ya.
Take
Later,
it easy.
everybody.
I jumped in twice.
You.
I say
Wow.